Today on Sports Center, we'll be over a college football bowl preview and prediction on the 2021 Camellia Bowl matchup between Georgia State and Ball State. Both teams have had good seasons to this point. Georgia State, one of the top teams in the Sun Belt, coming into this matchup at 7-5, and Ball State, of course, getting up to 6-6. Just made it to that bowl threshold, so it should make for a good matchup here in the Camellia Bowl. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this game here today. Starting out with your team trends. Georgia State beat Troy 37-10, last game of the regular season there. Overall, solid win to finish out the regular season. And of course, Troy, not a very good football team. They finished out the season at 5-7, but overall, still good win there, 37-10. Georgia State did what they needed to do to win that game, and they're once again 7-5 heading into this matchup. 3-game winning streak as well. As for Ball State, beat Buffalo 20-3. Overall, good win over Buffalo. And the Bulls, I mean, they're also a team that's kind of been underwhelming in this 2021 season, but certainly that's a good win to finish out the season there for Ball State. They're 6-6. Game will be on Saturday, December 25th, Christmas Day, Montgomery, Alabama, and your kickoff time is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Spread's going with Georgia State by 4.5 here, so kind of a close spread as expected, but of course Georgia State with one more win than Ball State, kind of expected to see them favored in the spread as of right now. I would say as well, I mean, the MAC and the Sun Belt are two of the weaker conferences in college football this season. I mean, the Sun Belt's got like 3 teams above 10 wins, and all 3 of those teams are very talented, but otherwise, I mean, the Sun Belt, I mean, you got Georgia State is kind of in the middle, but then after Georgia State, I mean, every other team in that conference is pretty poor. So obviously both conferences have they're not the best conferences in college football. I mean, the MAC's got some pretty good teams actually this season. I think they qualified like 8 or so teams, qualified 8 teams in a bowl season, which is a pretty good accomplishment. But yeah, over-unders 50, and your FPI is going with Georgia State here, 55.9%. So Panthers are favored in both the FPI and the spread. Series history, it is tied 1-1. Ball State won the last matchup, which was in 2016, so it actually hasn't been too long since we saw these two teams play each other, but then again, we haven't seen these two teams play each other a whole lot, only 2 times in their histories. Here's your stat comparison. Georgia State, 26 points per game, 27 points allowed. You got 158 passers a game, 222 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 258 passing, 147 for rushing. So primarily a rushing offense there with Georgia State. I mean, passing-wise, Granger is their quarterback, their primary quarterback. He's put up 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. His touchdown-interception ratio isn't terrible, but passing-wise, he just hasn't been the best in this football season. Accuracy has been kind of poor for this football team. But once again, I mean, Georgia State, not a terrible football team in the rushing game. I mean, that's kind of the strength of this offense, so it makes sense why they just go with that. And, of course, going up against this Ball State defense, I mean, their rushing defense isn't very good either. But then again, Ball State's defense in general isn't totally great. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. Kind of an interesting matchup going against a Ball State football team, which, I mean, their offensive priorities are a bit different. They are more of a passing offense. You got Drew Plitt, your quarterback of Ball State, 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks. He hasn't had a terrible season. So, yeah, 200 average pass yards a game is a pretty, not a bad stat line there, certainly. 134 rush yards a game on average for Ball State. And then for yards allowed, you got 246 passing, 169 for rushing. Some recent matchups, Georgia State beat Troy 37-10, beat Arkansas State as well 20-20, and that huge win over Coastal Carolina, one of the 3 big teams in the Sun Belt, 42-40. I mean, if you look at the Sun Belt, you got Appalachian State, who finished out the season at 10-3, Coastal Carolina at 10-2, and then of course Louisiana at 12-1, and of course Louisiana is the top team in the conference. So, I mean, those are your big 3 in the conference, and so for Georgia State to go in and beat Coastal Carolina on the road, that was a very impressive win there, and it definitely shows that Georgia State can win big games. They did lose to Louisiana there on the road, 17-21, 4-point loss there, low-scoring game as well, but in the end kept it close and also beat Georgia Southern, 21-14 was the final score there. As for Ball State, beat Buffalo there, 20-3, lost to Central Michigan, 17-37, lost to NIU by 1. That was a close loss. Beat Akron 31-25 and lost to Miami, Ohio as well, 17-24. Some key points here: Georgia State 7-5, primarily rushing offense once again. For Ball State, kind of the opposite, primarily a passing offense there for the Cardinals. But for Georgia State, they won 6 of their last 7. So this team does have a momentum advantage going into this matchup. I mean, if you look at Georgia State here, I mean, winning 6 of their last 7. I mean, they start out the season 1-4 I mean, that's a pretty terrifying record there. At first, is 1-4. I mean, they were heading into October 9th, that matchup against Louisiana Monroe as a 1-4 football team, and they were able to string some wins together and won 6 of their last 7, which was huge. I mean, they finished out the season at 7-5 after starting 1-4. So Georgia State, they found something that works, especially after that brutal September there. And for Ball State, of course, I mean, this football team that, I mean, they started the season 1-3, so finishing 6-6 is certainly a pretty impressive accomplishment. But then again, this team hasn't been quite as consistent down the stretch. They have lost 3 of their last 5 to somewhat talented football teams as well. But I mean, I'm a little more confident, I will say, that with Georgia State here than I am with Ball State, especially with performances that we've seen in recent weeks. But yeah, so lots of improvement here for Georgia State over the course of the season. Ball State have been inconsistent down the stretch. Drew Plitz having a good season, though. He's definitely a threat, but rush defense certainly isn't a strength here for Ball State, going up against a primarily rushing offense. So that being said, though, let's go and get to the prediction here for your Camellia Bowl. I'm going to go with Georgia State here to get the win, 27-20. I mean, all signs point to Georgia State winning this game. I think that the Panthers are just a better football team here, and it's a better matchup as well. I mean, Ball State's primarily a passing offense going up against Georgia State, who's got, I mean, they got a decent passing defense, nothing great, but I mean, then again, Georgia State is a massive rushing offense going up against a very poor Ball State rushing defense. That's what I think wins it in the end for Georgia State, 27-20. And also, we've seen Georgia State, I mean, once again, down the stretch, they've just been the better football team. So I think Georgia State should win this football game. Doesn't mean that they will, but they should win this football game, I do think here. Panthers are more confident with them, 55% chance. I would actually up that to 60% as well. I'm pretty confident that Georgia State, somewhat confident that they do win this game. I think it's definitely more likely. Over-under is 50. I'm going to take the over for this game. Or actually, no, I'm taking the under here by 3 points, just barely. So I do expect it to be somewhat of a low-scoring game here, moderate to a lower-scoring game, and Georgia State to cover the 4.5-point spread as well, beating Ball State by 7 points. But anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this preview and prediction. I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.